Welcome to Buddhist Maha Vihara's Dhamma series and the Facebook page, our public page. Today we have a very special guest, he's a very popular speaker here in Malaysia, and most people call him by his nickname, which is Uncle Vijaya. It's actually Uncle Vijaya. We call him Uncle Vijaya Samarawickrama because he's really a popular figure, and he's also a patron of the Buddhist Maha Vihara, and we have been associated with him for many years. Let me read the profile of Mr. Vijaya Samarawickrama. Mr. Vijaya obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in English from the University of Malaya. Then he had a Masters of Arts degree in Drama and Theatre from the University of Hawaii and a teaching certificate from the University of Liverpool. Prior to his retirement, he was a senior lecturer at the University Technology Malaysia, and he is also just retired as being a lecturer in drama and theatre, public speaking, and world religions at the Taylor's University American Degree Program. Uncle Vijaya is a prominent figure in Buddhist circles, giving more than 100 talks in universities, schools, and Dharma centers each year for the past 4 decades. Besides being the patron of the Sasana Abhivuddhi Vardhana Society Kuala Lumpur, which is the custodians of the Buddhist Maha Vihara, he's also the ex-director of the Nalanda Institute, and he has represented Malaysia in numerous Buddhist conventions and conferences, both locally and abroad. He's also given numerous inspiring Dhamma talks throughout Malaysia, Singapore, and in Australia. Uncle Vijay has also assisted the late Venerable Kesari Dhammananda in writing his books. Uncle Vijay himself has authored more than a dozen books or booklets, from which I think more than 200,000 copies have been distributed worldwide. Some of them have been translated into Indonesian, Sinhala, and Mandarin. He's also the secretary of the Board of Trustees of the Kesari Dhammananda Charitable Trust Fund. Without wasting much time, I would now like to invite Uncle Vijaya to have his Dhamma sharing with us this evening. Sadhu.
Namo Buddhaya. Brothers and sisters, we are meeting once again under very strange circumstances. Normally we would have live audiences, we would have a lot of people, but this time we have, even recently we had the Vesak, and a lot of us were calling this a digital Vesak because all the time we used to have people contact, but this year it has been different. So maybe some good things have come out of it, but the first thing maybe we need to consider is what has this last year been, the last few months, even before the beginning of the year of the rat. This world was hammered by huge amounts of natural disasters. We had wildfires all over the world, we had the tsunamis, we had volcanic eruptions, and then of course the mother of it all, we might call, was the COVID-19 pandemic. Started off with a tiny little virus, so small that it's invisible to the naked eye, but it has brought the entire world to its knees. What we can get out of this is, we humans were going around thinking that we, because of technology, and we had all these scientific advances that have been going around, that we had finally learned to rule the world. But this tiny little virus has given us back our humility. We are back where we started. Most of us would think that this coronavirus, this COVID-19 is one of the worst things that has happened to mankind. But stop and consider, is it? If we step back, no doubt we are full of fear, we are full of uncertainty, the whole world doesn't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Yet in spite of that, is this something new? Remember, 2,500 years ago, the Buddha had already stated in no uncertain terms the four noble truths. And the first of these noble truths is dukkha. And even during his time, there were many, many calamities. And ever since then, there have been calamities. So, calamities are nothing new. Yeah? Natural disasters. I would like to call these natural disasters unavoidable natural disasters. These are things that are there all along. They have been there, earthquakes, thunders, not only 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, we have evidence that the world was hammered by these things. So this is nothing new. Yeah? All that we can do, in fact, the reason why religion was invented by most people was to ask the gods to escape all these things. Yeah, whether there was a tsunami or a wildfire, all these things have been there, and a lot of people thought that by praying to the gods, they can escape danger. So even today, when you think of it, many religions would pray to escape the danger, hope that the danger will go away. But Buddhists take a different stance. The Buddha taught us that this dukkha is part of Dhamma. Dhamma comes from the word Dha. Dha meaning what upholds the universe. This world is run, this universe operates under a set of laws that are independent of whatever we might want or we might not. Dharma. Dharma meaning that which upholds the universe. And these are the laws. And these laws include all these natural phenomena, all these natural disasters that go on. These are unavoidable. All that we can do is to learn the patience to accept these and use our wisdom not to get rid of these or ask the divine powers to move these things away from us. They cannot. Come another million years, this will still be there. All that we can do is to gain the patience and the understanding, use our technology at best to be able to predict when these things will happen and to live in places where they can do least damage. We cannot expect them to do no damage at all. Yeah? But these are the unavoidable disasters which we will have to learn how to put in place and how to confront them and how to live with them. That's one form of dukkha. But there is another much more insidious, much more dangerous form of dukkha which I'd like to call the avoidable. And these are avoidable dangers which are confronting the world. They are economic, they are political, and these kind of dangers, economic dangers, political dangers, environmental dangers, these to a large extent are created by the human mind. These are avoidable. And the Buddha teaches us that the cause of these avoidable dangers are three: lobha, dosa, moha. What is lobha? Lobha, dosa, moha. We'll take that in that sequence. Lobha is greed. Greed is excessive craving for all kinds of things to please the senses. Greed. That leads to aversion. All kinds of things that we want or we don't want. Sometimes translated as hatred. So you have greed leading to hatred, but both of these are caused by moha, delusion, by ignorance. Delusion, an idea that we exist as permanent entities, that we are human beings and we have these unchanging needs and desires. Yeah? When we don't have that understanding, these three gives rise, the moha, the false sense of an I, gives rise to greed, to grasping, to tanha. And when this tanha is never satisfied, we are constantly in a state of frustration. So, while on the one hand we have the unavoidable disasters that are attacking the world, on the other hand we have avoidable, and all our political problems, all our environmental problems, all the economic problems that have been caused by humans. And if we can focus that with right understanding and try and get rid of these unavoidable, if we can get rid of these avoidable disasters, the world will be a very, very much better place than it has been. And we can all together, by the way, we do not need a religion as such. We do not need prayers. We don't need to appease the powers. We don't need to make appease nature. Yeah? The Buddha teaches us that with our human intelligence, we are manusya. Manusya, that which has a mind which can be developed. If we can develop that mind, see the world as it really is, yeah, and work, then we can train the mind. As individuals, if we train the mind, then we can contribute to making this world a much better place than it has been in the past. Earlier I said that the origin of religion can be traced back to the time when human beings who had no understanding of these natural phenomena thought this was the work of some divine powers, and that if we were able to appease those divine powers, then we will be able to ensure a better life for ourselves. Therefore, the purpose of religion was to help human beings escape from danger. Now, the Buddha teaches us we cannot escape from danger. These are unavoidable. These have to be there all along. Yeah? So what do Buddhists do? Buddhists do not ask for the danger to go away. They know it is there. It cannot be changed. However, Buddhists say that what we need to do is to develop the understanding to escape suffering. Now in Malay we say bila jatuh tangga jangan timpa tangga pula, meaning if you fall from the ladder, don't let the ladder fall on top of you. By the same token, when there is suffering, the unavoidable suffering, let us not suffer with the suffering, but step back and see how we can not suffer with the suffering. Meaning, understand it, develop the patience, and do whatever we can using our human intelligence to cope with whatever dangers that nature throws in our way. Therefore, what we need to develop is patience and the dignity to be able to calmly accept what is happening and do whatever it can. A lot of things can be done in order to make this world a much better place than it can be. Yeah? That is why in one of the Dhammapada verses, the Buddha says that just as a solid rock is unshaken by the wind, so we also should not allow ourselves, like a solid rock, to be shaken by the vicissitudes of life. That means when nature throws things against us, how do we remain calm? This is why we use the lotus flower as a symbol. The lotus flower, as you know, has its roots in the mud, the filth, and at the bottom where the roots are. But although it is in that filthy, slimy mud, so it grows from there, the flower rises above the water, perfect and pure. Meaning that when our problems of the samsaric world, anger, hatred, greed, jealousy, fear, restlessness, disease, whatever, all these things that hammer us all the time, while these are working at us, we must not allow the mind to be polluted as well. So the secret of the solid rock is, no matter what attacks us, how do we remain calm? And how do we remain calm? We remain calm with one thing: right understanding. Right. Now we have examined what are the two types of danger that human beings are confronted with, the unavoidable and the avoidable. But let us focus on the avoidable. As human beings, what are the kinds of things that we can follow in order to make our lives more comfortable, our lives more peaceful, our lives more tranquil, like the lotus flower. Yeah? One of the best things that we can do, or the first things that we should do, is, because we are manusya, that which has a mind which can think, yeah, we need to understand how the nature operates. Once we understand how nature operates, we work according to the demands of nature, and we work in harmony with this nature. And ourselves as individuals, how do we manifest this understanding? One of the first things that we need to do is to calm the mind. And to calm the mind, the Buddha teaches us there are 4 ways in which the mind can be trained to be peaceful in spite of whatever happens around us. And these we call the 4 Brahma Viharas. The 4 Brahma Viharas are pertinent to the individual human being. We Buddhists believe that when we look after ourselves and we protect ourselves, we will at the same time protect others as well. And one of the best ways to do this is to practice the first Brahma Vihara. There are 4 Brahma Viharas: Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. What is Metta? It's all states of mind. It's all states of mind. Many religions believe that true happiness can only be found when we die and go to heaven, where true happiness lies. The Buddha says no. True happiness can be experienced in this life itself. If we learn, like the lotus flower, to rise above the dangers of this samsaric world. The first thing that we can do is to develop a state of mind where we practice metta. And this metta is so necessary in today's day and age. Metta is where I develop a sense of friendliness, a sense of calm, a sense of goodwill towards every living creature that exists. Now, our planet Earth and all the human beings on this planet Earth were sorely tested when we had to be quarantined. We had to be stuck in our homes, and we had to live very closely with people. And this required a lot of metta. Metta is to be able to develop a sense of love and kindness and friendliness and caringness towards all that are around us. And family members, a lot of people complain that there was a lot of difficulty in order to maintain friendly relationships when they were quarantined together for a long time, for long periods of time. But if we had learned to practice metta, not only for ourselves, but metta towards those around us, and metta to all the suffering beings in the world, we could have done a lot to reduce the mental anguish that the world is going through. This is metta. Now, at the same time, 7 billion of us on planet Earth have been suffering. We have been mentally anguished. There's so much of fear. There is so much of restrictions. Yeah, so much of shortages of all kinds of things, and all of these things, yeah, were affecting everybody else, and all our fellow human beings were in pain and fear. Having developed this metta, the next step is to develop karuna. And here my mind goes out to all those caregivers, all those people who selflessly practice karuna. They are not Buddhists, but they were fellow human beings who saw the suffering of others and felt that their needs were not as important as the needs of others. Our respect, our love, our gratitude goes out to all of them because they practice true karuna. In the same way, if we consider the needs of others rather than our own, with metta and then with karuna, we will become less aware of our own needs, our own fear. And if we concentrate or we reach out to others, then our own selfish needs will be reduced. So we have metta, we have karuna. Now there comes another more difficult, mudita. Mudita is where we are in very difficult circumstances, where we are deprived of lots of things, or we ourselves may be sick, or we may be economically disadvantaged. But at the same time, we can see that others have benefited by this. Surprisingly, the pandemic has benefited some people in many aspects of the economy, for example. Now, when we practice mudita, we rejoice that people are doing better than us, or we rejoice when someone has recovered. We rejoice when a country has overcome the pandemic. And we rejoice that they are able to move on with our lives. We may not be ready yet, but when we have that greatness of mind to rejoice at the enjoyment or the pleasure or the success of others, we call this mudita. So this is another divine state. We have metta, karuna, mudita. And finally, the most important of all, again going back to the lotus flower, we have that state of mind which we need, which we call upekkha. When we have upekkha, we are unaffected by either the positive state of mind or the negative, and we stay calm and we stay at peace, unaffected by the vicissitudes of life. Remember, we talked about the solid rock. Now this solid rock can be affected can be blown by the wind in many directions, but it remains calm and firm. Just as a solid rock is unaffected by the vicissitudes of life, yeah, so should a wise man remain firm as a solid rock. So our mind should be trained to this. Now, I began by saying that these epidemics, all these disasters that we have been confronted with are nothing new. What can we learn from this? We have to learn from this that these things will come back in different forms. Yeah? But if we are going to survive as a human race, what we have to do is to develop the understanding to remain calm and peaceful in spite of everything. When our minds are peaceful and calm, then we can think and straight and see how best we can overcome these problems. And therefore, brothers and sisters, let us consider how we can practice metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha in order to remain calm and peaceful in the face of all the dangers that we are confronted with. May you all be well and happy. Sadhu.